You are listening to episode 35 of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Welcome to the Peaceful Mind Podcast, a place for creating the peace of mind you need to be the best mom you are created by God to be. If you want to bring more balance, more joy, and more peace to your motherhood, this is the place for you. I'm your host, certified life coach and Catholic mom, Danielle Thienel. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let's get started. Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast, to all new listeners and to those who have been with me. And we are on episode 35. And before we dive into the episode, I just want to mention that we are over 5,000 downloads. I am just so excited for this milestone and want to thank each and every one of you who's listening. You know, if I just knew that one episode helped someone out there, and I kind of do because some of you tell me so, then it would be a thrill for me. It is a thrill for me. But to know that 5,000 times somebody has listened is also pretty incredible too. And again, I just thank you. Hope you can help me keep it growing by sharing with your friends and letting other moms who need more peace in their life have access to the podcast. Like I've mentioned before, I'd be ever so grateful. And speaking of ever so grateful, I would like to read, I haven't really done this before, but I want to read one of the reviews that was left for the podcast on Apple. You can go there and subscribe to the podcast, which is really helpful to help me know who out there is listening. And then there's a place where you can do a rating. That's where you just hit how many stars, 1 through 5, and hopefully you'll be giving me a 5. And then you can also write a review, which is super helpful, kind of like, you know, when you go on Amazon or something like that and kind of look at the review and see what it says to see if you're interested. These really help when other people come and take a look and read. So I wanted to just give a little shout out and a big thank you to, well, the name says iPad Alarm. That's what the name is. And the title was New Listener. So here's an abbreviated version. I just found this podcast today by chance and have been hooked all day. I have been experiencing an overwhelming amount of anxiety for the last week. As I was heading out for work today, I decided to look up peaceful podcasts and came across this one. I have taken so much away from all the episodes I've heard today and cannot wait to hear more. Thank you for your messages and helping me stay calm. All right. I just wanted to say thanks again. I really appreciate those notes. It inspires me that you all are listening and applying this on the other end. And also know that if ever you're interested in diving deeper into any of the topics or just your, overwhelming motherhood, whatever aspect that is just, showing up for you at the moment, then please reach out and have a free discovery call with me. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about where you are and where you want to go. And I will help you remove some of those roadblocks so you can get there. All right, let's go into today's episode. 3 powerful verses to beat defeat. We've all had a lot come at us last year, and many would agree many obstacles still lie ahead, or at least I know that is what our brains are telling us. And some of those challenges and obstacles weren't anything that we ever thought we would have on our plates to deal with. But such is life, that we are met with new circumstances and ever-changing situations. Within all that you do you find yourself feeling helpless and defeated right now? If you've tried to make changes on your own and still end up in the same place, you may be feeling defeated, like you just can't win, like the cards are stacked against you, that you've tried and tried again, but you're getting nowhere. When I go to Google and look up the definition of defeated, it says, having been beaten in a battle or other contest. So in other words, you lost, or you're in the middle of it. You're thinking, I'm losing the contest per se. It could show up for us moms in many ways. It could be something like trying for another baby, and month after month we see a negative test. It could be that you have the desire to keep your house in order, but with all of the kids, it's just a never-ending battle of cleaning up, and then there's a mess, and cleaning up, and then there's a mess. So you feel defeated to keep order and keep the house clean at a certain level. And many of us feel like we're in a battle with the clock. And we feel defeated when we had all these high hopes in the morning of accomplishing so much, only to find at the end of the day that we got a few things crossed off the list. But as I always love to point out as a coach who focuses on the minds of moms, defeat is a feeling. Feeling defeated is just that. It's a feeling. And all our feelings, every single one of them, including feeling behind, feeling stuck, feeling disappointed, feeling scared, worrying, and yes, feeling that you can't make progress in this area or that area. So we just give up in our minds. And in doing so, we then feel defeated. But I want you to know you don't have to stay feeling this way. In fact, if you're thinking of thoughts and feeling defeated in your life right now, I urge you to rid yourself of these thoughts. For if you think it, you will tend to create more of it. And because this is how it all works, your mind is such a powerful tool, and what you think about and focus on is what you grow more of. So to beat defeat, we have to focus on the opposite. We have to focus on what strengthens us, what gives us fortitude, what will keep us resilient and committed and overcoming fear. And the way I want to help you do that is to remind you that the choice is absolutely up to you on what you direct your mind to, what you choose to think about. And today, I'm going to give you 3 very powerful thoughts. And these thoughts, these phrases, which is all a thought happens to be Bible verses. And when you think these thoughts over and over again, these verses over and over again, they become a strong belief that give you an undeniable surge of power. And when you choose to think them instead of the ones that bring you defeat, perhaps in those moments when you're disappointed or think that nothing is going right for you, you'll then be determined to turn it around and to move towards a winning attitude. So let's explore the first one now. It's found in Phillipians chapter 4, and it's verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. See that as a sentence. See that as a phrase. See that as a choice to think. It's a thought. The thought, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I have to tell you that this is one of my favorite verses in the Bible of all time. And I have a story to tell on why that is. But just even when we break it down and think about it, what it really means, like we believe Christ is just, he's all powerful, right? He wants the best for us. God created us. And when we think about him by our side, giving us the strength we need because we're calling upon it, then it gives you this surge, right? This belief when you're thinking that I can do all things because Christ is going to strengthen me. So whatever mountain I see in front of me that seems insurmountable, it doesn't then look so bad if you are thinking and believing I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And my example is back in my professional ballet dancing days. I remember how much mind drama that I had when it came to performing, especially something that would require like advanced technique, like, maybe multiple turns or a large kind of complicated jump or just a lot of, parts of the dance that were more challenging. And I remember letting my mind just kind of go to the I don't know if I can do this. I messed up a few times in rehearsal. And when you put the nerves together and you are thinking about all the people watching, I might mess up. And, there's a million factors that are going on. But you see that when my mind was looking to all of the things that would go wrong or that I didn't do it well in the rehearsal room, and so I'm not sure if it'll go well on stage, you're letting your brain run wild. But when you focus it on something that gives you a feeling of strength and confidence, right? So then I choose to direct my mind and put it right towards this sentence, this phrase, and it becomes a thought because my mind is saying it. And then you repeat it. So I learned to take this Bible verse and direct my mind and let its power when I thought it and really believed it, which I did. I got to the point where it was like before I was going on stage, I was thinking, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Right before it was my time to go, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And then, yes, while I was out there dancing, I can remember one particular time being the Dewdrop Fairy in the Nutcracker, and there was a sequence of turns. And I remember that this is what was going through my mind. I was like, I can do it. I can do it because Christ strengthens me even for these things in life that may not seem, huge. But every time he came through, and I'm not saying that I hit those turns or those moves or sequences perfectly, but you know what? However it turned out, I didn't doubt that he was there and giving me strength. And so how it turned out was meant to happen. And it felt good. I didn't feel defeated if I didn't make it because I had the belief that he was there and I was strong. And my mind was occupied with something that along the way made me feel better, made me feel like I was winning, made me feel like I was doing it no matter what. I was overcoming the fear. And do you see the power in just directing your mind into a verse? And in this case, you're using it to beat defeat. So on stage, I wasn't allowing the obstacle, which was my brain running amok, thinking thoughts of worry and nervousness. Instead, with the belief I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, I was able to stand up to the obstacles and do something about it. I found out that I was more powerful when I chose to direct my mind on purpose. And this works for any and all circumstances you're faced with. The second verse to use in order to beat defeat is, "If God be for me, who could be against me?" Romans chapter 8, verse 31. Now, I changed the "if God be for us, who could be against us" to "if God be for me, who could be against me." I found this helpful to empower me to recover from otherwise defeating thoughts. And now this one, I truly do visualize a sort of battlefield where you have the obstacle or whatever you're trying to overcome as being like the opposite enemy lines. And I visualize like the troops are all lined up against me, and you can insert whatever your obstacle is. Maybe it's a pile of bills, a child that doesn't listen, a dream that's in your heart that feels impossible to achieve, a tendency to overeat or drink that you believe you'll never win. And And then I picture me on the side facing it, facing whatever that obstacle is. But the best part is I'm not alone. God is standing beside me. And sometimes Mary and Joseph too. And definitely the Holy Spirit and the Holy Spirit swirling around. I mean, it sounds silly, but visualizations are so helpful. And with me seeing God right there by my side, and then I'm thinking the thought, if God be for me, like who could be against me if God is for me? Because He is on my side, and there's nothing greater than Him. And how could I ever lose at anything I try to accomplish or to overcome? How could I lose at anything? So again, when you think a thought that is a defeating thought that would be defined as a defeating thought, it does feel impossible. And the key word there is it feels. Not only that it's truly impossible, but that it just feels that way. But on the other hand, when I think the thought, if God is for me, He's for me, which I really believe, then who or what or anything could ever be against me? Or even if it is against me, who cares? Because I have God and He's right there with me. So the third verse to beat defeat is, I believe, help my unbelief. Mark chapter 9, verse 24. This one, I believe, help my unbelief, it's a thought. This verse reinforces two things. It reinforces our faith and it reinforces our humanness. So the I believe part has you calling on the divine. But the help my unbelief, it's just that part of our vulnerable, doubting, questioning human side of us. That part of our mind that is there to keep us safe and protect us and to make things easy and efficient, which is just how our humanness shows up a lot of the time. So it's not bad and we're not broken. This verse, I believe, help my unbelief. I remember finding it super helpful when, after months and months of trying to have a baby and hoping this time the nurse would say the test was positive, I did believe God was going to give me my heart's desire at the perfect timing. So that part of the thought, that part of the verse, the I believe part, like that felt true for me. True because I know that God's will and God's timing would be best. So I had that first part covered. But I also honestly was afraid and I was a little doubting. So I gave Him all of my true self, which came out in the second part of that thought in that verse, which is the statement, help my unbelief. And every time I would think the thought, I believe, help my unbelief. I believe, help my unbelief. I felt a surge of power. Like every time that I could overcome, and I wouldn't let it keep me down, even if it was negative. So here again, by choosing the thought, I believe, help my unbelief, which in this case is a Bible verse, I was beating defeat. And so can you. With these 3 verses, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If God be for me, who could be against me? I believe, help my unbelief. Try them on. Focus your mind there. Whenever you're feeling defeated, whenever you have obstacles in front of you, whenever you think you've tried and you just don't have the gumption to get up and try again, redirect your mind. It's all about the thoughts you think because they create how you feel. And from those feelings, they drive how you're going to show up and what actions you're going to take. So think about these thoughts now whenever you want to have that surge of power. It does take practice. It does take focus. It does, maybe you have to write them down on a Post-it. I know I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me on a picture on my bathroom wall. So I see it first thing in the morning. And so I just want you to know that I'm rooting for you, that I am there on the sidelines, your biggest fan, your biggest cheerleader, and that I know you can do it. And these 3 verses can help you. Okay, everybody, I will talk to you again next week. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Are you ready to take everything I teach you here and put it to work for your own life? To really learn how to have peace of mind no matter what is happening around you? If so, I'd love to have you as a client. As your coach, this is where you'll get personal and focused time on your own mind using life coaching tools, concepts, and proven life-transforming wisdom, all through a faith-filled lens. To learn more about how we can work together, come on over to DanielleThienel.com. There, you'll see how to sign up for a free coaching consult and learn how to get started. Until next time, peace be with you always.